All right, we back. You know what I'm saying? Next segment here, we about to address real quick Josh's home team, Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor
Yeah,
Lawrence. I like Trevor Lawrence, but you know, I see mixed commentary about that contract.
yeah. I wanted to hit on this because while it's still somewhat fresh a little
Mhm.
bit, I mean, it's been like I think a week or so since
Right.
since this contract extension has happened. Uh Let me be clear about this. I am not in agreement with this heavy contract that he got. Um
Why?
I don't think that his play, or should I say production and plus play sometimes, was deserving of something like this. Because with this contract, um that makes him the highest annually paid, tied for the highest annually paid quarterback in the league.
Really?
Um he's he's tied for second as far as like overall contract value for active quarterbacks right now. Patrick Mahomes still number one because Patrick Mahomes, he got over a 10-year period of his career. He's supposed to make 450 million. Um, but Trevor Lawrence right now, he's tied with Joe Burrow as far as his contract value.
Is Trevor Lawrence better than Joe Burrow?
No, no, no.
Is he close to Joe Burrow?
I don't know if he's close to Joe Burrow. He just got more physical tools. Now, I was going to jump into this too because Trevor Lawrence, when you look at everybody else that they're comparing to, because one of the things that I didn't care for that some of the people were saying that was hating on this, they could have just chose different angles, but this angle that I didn't care for particularly, I'm gonna bring this up. They was bringing up his stats, like his win losses, his percentages, completion percentages, and whatnot, and they was comparing him to the likes of Gardner Minshew and Daniel Jones.
Question: is this home cooking feelings or is this facts?
This it's just statistical stuff. You know, stat people, they gonna pull up any stats, mesh them, and compare them to somebody and be like, "Oh, he's just as good as him,"
But do
which
you
is not
feel any
true.
type of way when folks on your home team be getting violated? You know what I'm saying? Do you feel any type of way about that?
I mean, well, of course I do,
All right,
but
okay,
in a general sense, I feel that way about anybody
okay.
because I seen the statistical breakdown, and this is just regular season. This isn't playoffs included. Statistical breakdown of wins and losses, completion percentage, yards, and stuff like that. They compared Dak Prescott to Patrick Mahomes, and they were identical stat wise.
Okay,
But
so
anybody that watches football knows Patrick Mahomes is in a different atmosphere than what Dak Prescott is. And I feel like it's the same way for the people that want to compare Trevor Lawrence to Gardner Minshew and Trevor Lawrence to Daniel Jones. Like those is disrespectful things right there. Those are okay. So one of them is a guy that might not even have his job. Actually, both of them might not even have they starting jobs after next year.
oh,
Both of them, Daniel
both of
Jones
them.
and Gardner Minshew.
All right,
Now, I like Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew used to play for Jacksonville. I like Gardner Minshew. He's a short quarterback. He's he has some good pocket awareness to be able to evade sacks and things of that nature.
mm-hmm.
Gardner Minshew does not have the arm, and Gardner Minshew is something that can be said about pressure. to be able to play free without pressure.
I'm looking at Trevor Lawrence stats, right? I had to pull them up. So obviously his rookie year, what he had 12 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. Not what's up. Right. But he improved. Whoa. Yeah, he improved a lot the second year. You know what I'm saying? Now, is 66.3 complete percentage good or bad?
That's okay.
That's decent.
That's okay.
So he got like a percentage worse in 2023.
Right.
65.
So
he had 14 interceptions.
Right. So I'm gonna address all of that right now, okay? Because I'm not an ultimate stat guy. Stats do matter to a degree, but I don't think stats tell the whole truth behind the numbers. Because when you look at Trevor Lawrence's career, he got drafted first overall for a reason. The worst team in the league at the time was Jacksonville. So he went to a bad, terrible team. On top of that, this bad, terrible team head coach for his rookie season was Urban Meyer. No longer a head coach in college or NFL. How bad his regime was. Urban Meyer. Okay, we all know who Aaron Donald is.
Yeah.
Jacksonville had the Rams on the schedule. And it was reported that Urban Meyer didn't even know who Aaron Donald was.
Yeah, right. That's a lie.
It could be.
I don't believe that.
It could be some truth to it because
I don't know who Aaron Donald is if you're the coach.
Well,
that don't even make sense, dude.
Well, see, the reason why I brought that out is because if anybody followed that year with Jacksonville and Urban Meyer, it was story after story after story after story that was coming out about Urban Meyer and how bad of a coach he really was.
Is it possible that it was a smear campaign?
I don't think so, because I think the world, to a degree, was rooting for him to do well. Not that they wanted him to do great and win, but I think they wanted him to at least do well.
Okay.
Because Urban Meyer was one of the most winningest head coaches in college football. Won a couple of championships with Florida, won a couple of championships with Ohio State, I think.
But see, the thing is, when it comes to, like you say, stats, right?
Right.
When it comes, people got to understand that skipping up a level, I mean, you going to go have some growing pains whether you're a coach or a player. It's very rare you see anybody come from college to the NBA or college to the NFL and just instantly successful. That's not too often.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So just because he had those stat lines, you got fresh new stats in the NFL. That don't matter anymore.
Right.
It matters here now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So I'm going to just mention some of those storylines that came out about this dude, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Urban Meyer. Jacksonville played against Cincinnati that year. Mm-hmm. That was the year Cincinnati went to the Super Bowl.
Right.
If anybody looks at that game, Jacksonville really could have won that game. And it was during one of those times Jacksonville was on a losing streak and they was trying to like win a game or something like that, get that feeling back. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, that was a game that DJ Shark had got hurt, and I think he was out for the season for that game. Mm-hmm. But Jacksonville loses a close game to Cincinnati. Instead of getting on the team, plane, bus, or whatever it was to come back to Jacksonville, Urban Meyer stays in Cincinnati because he has a bar or something. He owns like a bar or something in Ohio. Because this goes back to his Ohio State coaching days, how he can set up a business over there. Mm-hmm. He stays back in Ohio and goes to his bar or whatever it was. In the midst of him doing that, a video comes out of some young girl dancing on him while he's a married man. Okay, so this is the kind of dude that was coaching Trevor Lawrence for his rookie season. I need y'all to understand that. Okay. Oh, and the other thing about the rookie season, Trevor Lawrence was the first round pick of that draft. Jacksonville had 2 first round picks that draft.
Right.
Trevor Lawrence was the first round pick. The second first round pick was the running back Travis Etienne.
Okay.
He got hurt in the preseason with Liz Frank injury, and he was out for the year. So there was no Travis Etienne at all.
Right.
So he automatically lost a weapon that he should have been able to use and have. All right. But back to Urban Meyer. Okay, so that came out about him.
Right.
The Aaron Donald thing came out about him. Then there was reports about him getting into it with other coaches. That came out about him. Then there was the main
on his staff?
Yeah, his staff. He was getting into it with his staff. And then the thing came out about him and the kicker. Because the kicker, Josh Lambo, at the time, he wasn't having his best year kicking. He just came off of a Pro Bowl year the year before, having a great year kicking the ball, kicking it from distance, kicking it accurately. He probably only missed like 2 or 3 field goals the whole year.
Okay.
The next year comes and he's struggling. And so the report comes out that in the locker room during the week of preparation, this dude goes up to Josh Lambo and kicks him. And he says, start making your kicks.
I think I heard something about that, but I didn't believe it.
Exactly. Josh Lambo, well, it came out to be true because Josh Lambo filed a lawsuit against Jacksonville for it.
If you Josh the kicker, that happened to you, what is your actions?
First off, I might be a little shocked that the coach thought that he can kick me like that. But once I come to, I can't say exactly what I would do. I would just say we would have to be separated. And
I got you.
It might be some like, you remember how Marcus Camby flew in and was trying to hit homeboy in that basketball game he played for the Knicks?
Come on, when you ran to the stands?
No. When Marcus Camby played for the Knicks, and he was it against the Spurs? I don't think it was against the Spurs. But he had ran and he tried to swing and hit the coach. And then
yeah.
It would have been some stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, listen, coaches get out of pocket, especially in football, more so than I like playing football. I've come to realize, I mean, coaches get out of pocket in both sports, but football be a little extra. You know what I'm saying? I get it's an aggressive game, a lot of testosterone going on. You know, you got enhancers going on, so all that is flowing through your body. I understand all that, but all that putting hands on people, words is, I can deal with words. I can deal with you cussing at me and all. I can deal with that. But you're not going to touch me, though.
Right. So I'm saying that
crazy.
Because that's only 4 reports. That's only 4 that I brought out. Now, if anybody wants to do their research and look into all the reports that came out about this dude, not everybody is lying here.
No, I'm not saying that.
Right. So
there's smoke, there's fire, but
right. So I'm just trying to get people to understand that was Trevor Lawrence's beginning.
Right.
That was Trevor Lawrence's beginning. Now, I get that he hasn't had the career so far or the outstanding years so far that a Patrick Mahomes had, that a Joe Burrow has had, that a Lamar Jackson has had, that a Josh Allen has had.
Mm-hmm.
And that has something to do with it. There's other things that I want to bring out too that has something to do with this.
He gets sacked a lot too.
Well, there you go. You walking into what I'm going to say.
I'm looking like, and I don't even mean to cut your wisdom because I like to pull this stuff up.
Right.
He got sacked 35 times last season.
Right.
How many games is it per season? 18, 17?
Yeah, now it's 17 games. Now it's 17 games. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So 35 times?
Yes, that means he's meeting the floor about 3 times a game, roughly. Now, I want y'all to understand something here, okay? We talked about it when we was talking about the Madden a little bit, right? But the offensive line is the foundation of any offense.
Word.
Once you get your offensive line established, you can do anything and everything that you want to do. You can have the ability to do it because you got the ability to protect, or you got the ability to push people around and create holes. So you can be a running team or you can be a passing team if you want to, if you get that offensive line established.
Would you agree an offensive line can make a mediocre quarterback look good?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Happens all the time. Now, elite quarterbacks can make a below average offensive line look good.
Mm-hmm.
Hint, Joe Burrow, the Super Bowl year.
Yeah.
His offensive line wasn't good at all.
Right.
To protect him, Cam Newton, the 1 year that they went to the Super Bowl.
He don't get enough credit, but we ain't talking about him, but he don't get enough credit.
But I'm just bringing out examples.
That's a long-winded thing for me, but it is what it is. You know?
Right. Exactly. Now, Trevor Lawrence, he hasn't reached that level yet. I think.
What would you say he's best at? You a Jacksonville fan, so what would you say he is, if he's not elite at, got the potential to be elite at? One thing.
Downfield throwing.
Okay.
The deep ball.
Okay.
The deep ball. He can be very elite at the deep ball. But
Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, he can be in that atmosphere if he reaches peak.
Okay.
If he reaches his peak, he can be in that atmosphere.
Right.
Which goes back to another thing, right? You look at all these top quarterbacks as far as throwers.
Mm-hmm.
Look at their best years that they've had, right?
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Mahomes, some of his best years throwing the ball statistical wise, he had Tyreek Hill, the ultimate speedster deep threat, right?
Yeah.
Joe Burrow, his breakout coming out like I'm here season came when they drafted Jamar Chase.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a reuniting of him and his teammate that he won a national championship with at LSU. So there's already chemistry there. They already knew how to work with each other.
Right.
Josh Allen, his breakout year came when they got Stephon Diggs.
Right.
And
that's the Bills, right? That's the Bills, right? That's the Bills, right? Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even Dak Prescott, he looked real mediocre. And then when they traded to get Amari Cooper, all of a sudden he looked like he was ascending. You know? Mm-hmm. And then they got CD Lamb. He looks like he's ascending.
Right.
Matt Ryan, he had his best years at quarterback when they had Julio Jones.
You don't hear much about Matt Ryan anymore.
No. Aaron Rodgers,
he never really had no cold receivers.
Well, he did have Greg Jennings and Jordy Nelson.
Yeah, but
Greg Jennings, look, 2 is better than none. You know what I'm saying? Two is better than none because that can make a world of a difference for a quarterback.
I hear you. I feel you. I mean,
Stafford, all them years with Megatron.
Yeah, but we know that problem. He probably hit the. I don't want the stats. He probably hit the floor more than Trevor Lawrence, though.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. So
with no O-line, that's why I look at the interceptions. Like, I kind of ignore that because if you get a quick trigger, like if you got a quick draw to try to stop yourself from getting sacked. Because if you hit on the ball, these sacks would be more.
Right. So I like what Keyshawn Johnson says about interceptions with quarterbacks. He said pretty much slice those in half because not every interception is the quarterback's fault.
I agree.
Sometimes, which is if anybody was to dare to even actually look at the game and look at when Trevor Lawrence's interceptions come, How many times is he getting hit when he throws? How many times is the ball bouncing off the wide receiver's hands and then it goes into a defender because he can catch it at that moment?
But see, that's what I'm saying. That's why I say I look at the interceptions. Mind you, I'm a Lions fan. Loyal to the no offensive line, mind you. Since the 90s, no offensive line. Okay? Right. None. We just now got one. But I watch these things. A lot of times, as soon as you step back 3 times, you got somebody in your face already. And you want either you throwing it out of bounds or you trying to get it to your mans, but you can't really get it accurate at that point. And then tip interceptions, slip through hands interceptions, bouncing off the shoulder pad, I like all that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Right. So that's why I look at the interceptions like,
oh yeah.
I mean, if you don't got no O-line, I mean, all these can happen. Fumbles, all the whole nine.
Exactly. And so when we look at Trevor Lawrence's career for his career so far, even though he's only been in the game about 4 years, he's going on his
4th.
Yeah, he's going on his 4th year now.
Uh-huh.
So I was able to give you a few elite weapons to throw the ball to for those other quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Lawrence does not have not one elite weapon yet. Last year, he had Calvin Ridley. Mm-hmm. Story behind Calvin Ridley. People need to remember Calvin Ridley got suspended for 2 years by the NFL because he got busted for gambling when he played for Atlanta.
Right.
So think about how big of an impact 2 years off can have on any football player.
First of all, playing any sport, what people got to understand, any sport, when you take any time off, the first thing you got to get back is your time.
Right.
Because professional sports is so fast. If you hear them talk about, a lot of it is the speed.
Right.
Reading, yeah, everything is way faster than what it looked like on TV. You know what I'm saying? When you out there, so it takes them a while to get back readjusted to the speed. Right. Then you got to get your confidence back. Then you got to get your physical back. So it takes a minute.
People love Michael Jordan. When he retired and then he came back that first year, yeah, that was good.
That first year. He still was out adjusting.
Right. So it took that time. Now maybe Calvin Ridley will be the same kind of Calvin Ridley that he was for Atlanta. But the Calvin Ridley that he was for Jacksonville, he was first time back. You know, for first time back, getting back used to doing this. He still was solid, but he wasn't the same guy because there was a lot of games and there was a lot of moments where Calvin Ridley would just disappear. And part of the reason for that is Calvin Ridley, this is with football too. Calvin Ridley was the second most pressed wide receiver in the NFL last year. He couldn't beat the jam.
Yeah.
He couldn't beat the jam.
I mean, if you're the only coach, like, I mean, look, I'm gonna ask you some questions. Because Calvin Johnson, he was like, we always had pretty decent receivers, but he was getting double and triple teams, dog.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying?
He was a freak of nature because he was like what 6'5", 6'6", something like that. And
something like that.
And in a straight line, this dude was clocked at like 4'3" something. You know what I'm saying? So
my question,
and he can jump. And he can jump.
That's a big key. You should have hops as a receiver.
Right.
But my question, because I want to talk about these weapons that Trevor Lawrence has. I got him.
Coming into this year or what he's had so far for the past 3 years?
I want your opinion on these guys here because I'm looking at their size. Okay. And Josh Cephas, is that how you pronounce his name?
He's so that's a guy that never gets no snaps.
6'3". Is he not good at all?
He never gets no snaps.
Okay. Elijah Cooks.
He gets snaps in the preseason, and he turned out to be pretty decent. He's a developing wide receiver. So, but we'll have to wait and see on him.
Gabe Davis. Because I'm naming the tall targets.
Right. So Gabe Davis, he developed into the number 2 receiving option for Stephon Diggs and the Buffalo Bills for the past couple of years.
Right.
Jacksonville just got him this year in free agency. I wasn't the most excited about him because I'm not the biggest wild guy about him, but he did have some games where he popped off real heavy. Like if you remember that his historic game, it was the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs, and him and Patrick Mahomes was going back and forth. Gabe Davis, I think he caught like 4 touchdowns in that game.
Y'all got a million receivers too. You know what I'm saying? Denzel Mims. I'm only naming the tall guys because
so Denzel Mims, he's been in the league for a while. He got drafted some years ago by the Jets. Denzel Mims, he has all like the athletic talent. He just hasn't been able to put it together for whatever reason. I haven't paid a lot of attention to him. So I don't know if he's getting opportunities or not because he played for the Jets. So I don't know if he was getting a lot of opportunities or not, or I don't know if he's just not fit or ready to go there. Now, I was excited about getting him because when he was at Baylor, he was a beast. And right. I'm not saying like he was a beast, like automatic first round pick kind of beast. No, right. He was a beast in the sense that, you could see some potential in this guy.
Right. Because I'm looking at, when I look at receivers, right, the first thing I look at is height. First of all, height. And if you are, I don't want you skinny. I mean, I want you lean, but strong and fast, but can catch. That's the thing. So, because I'm not a big fan of short receivers, 5'10" receivers. I don't like that. I like 6'2", 6'3" and above. You know what I'm saying? I think that's elite height for receivers.
For me, that depends on where I'm using them at. Because those 5'10" guys, those 5'10" guys, that 5'10" and below guys, I like to put them in the slot. Because a whole lot of the times, those guys are mainly quicker than fast. Some of them are quick and fast, and they can be a headache to deal with in the middle of the field.
I feel you.
Like that's where like your Wes Welkers, your Julian Edelmans, your Detroit used to have one, and Nate Burleson wasn't that small.
But tall guys can be fast too with them long strides.
Right, but just the science of it. Taller guys normally aren't as twitchy as smaller guys. Okay. So they can provide a different type of headache. Now, the really good receivers, they can be tall and twitchy. Like your Chad Johnsons, your Devontae Adams, your who else? Justin Jefferson in the league right now. Right. Tall, twitchy guy. Right. So it's like, those guys, they can change direction really quick and maintain speed. Those are the real special guys.
Do you think, because when it comes to route running, it ain't all about speed either.
No.
Speed is one thing, but it's just like, it ain't all about speed. You got to be able to footwork is a big key. Because you can be fast, you want to be, but if you don't got footwork, that doesn't matter.
Right.
You just stop right in your track. You know what I'm saying? Like, it don't matter.
So, some of the best one of the best route runners that we've had in the NFL that we've been able to see for the past decade, who is not a speed guy, Keenan Allen. Yeah. Keenan Allen, he's not going to win a lot of races, but when it comes to running routes and getting separation, he's been one of the elite wide receivers. And he's been with the Chargers for his whole career. Now he's going to be playing for the Bears. So, I mean, anybody who thinks that you have to have speed to be an elite route runner, just go look at Keenan Allen. That's
speed doesn't. When I look at the combine usually, or the NFL, the combine, right? And they do the speed thing. I don't play too many sports to know speed is a tribute, but that's definitely not all you need, dog. Like you don't need that.
Right. Speed now speed does kill. Speed can kill.
It does if you know how to use it.
Right, which is like your Tyreek Hill. Yeah. Tyreek Hill. Like Tyreek Hill is not the first guy that had Olympic-style sprinter speed in the NFL to exist. He's just probably the first guy that had the total package. He had that and he put it together. Because people need to remember Tyreek Hill played running back in college.
You know, a lot of athletes in football play two positions.
Right, exactly.
In high school, you got some cats that play offense and defense.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or you got guys, a lot of it is quarterback and receiver.
And
that's
when
a
you
lot
look
of
at
that.
a guy like Tyreek Hill, he's not a skinny, slim guy neither.
Yeah.
He's a little stocky for his size. So pretty much the point that we're making here in regards to Trevor Lawrence is he hasn't had an elite number one guy yet so far in his career. Now, we just drafted Brian Thomas Jr.
I was about to say, you was talking about somebody you draft.
Right. We just drafted him. Personally, I would have rather us invest in protection for Trevor Lawrence, but I'm not mad at that because he excels, or at least he excelled while he was at LSU. He excelled in what Trevor Lawrence is really good at, the deep ball.
Let me ask you this: when it comes to Trevor Lawrence, do you think there's any cold receivers that I want to play with him?
Maybe his former teammates, because when he was at Clemson, he had T. Higgins.
Yeah.
I would think that T. Higgins wouldn't mind teaming back up with Trevor Lawrence. And
you
Trevor
have to
Lawrence
too in the NFL. They want.
So what now?
You know, that's a thing in the NFL too. Where they want to play with certain quarterbacks too, certain receivers.
Yeah, sure, of course. So, you know, and you know, when we think about Trevor Lawrence as a whole, right? So far, his rookie year was a disaster. Didn't have no weapons, didn't have no real good offensive line.
You could flush that though. He's a rookie.
Well, people aren't going to flush that because this is the era where rookie quarterbacks, especially first overall pick in the draft quarterbacks, they are expected to not only start, but they are expected to produce in this day and age. Whereas some of the best quarterbacks that we've got to look at, they didn't have to. Like Patrick Mahomes, he backed up Alex Smith for like a year or something like that.
Isn't that the most optimal thing? Because I've noticed, like, who's my man for the Packers? Keep forgetting his name. I know exactly
Jordan
who it is. Love. They love that guy. But how long he backed up Aaron Rodgers?
4 years.
Exactly.
4 years.
Tom Brady. Who did he back up? He backed up
Drew Bledsoe.
Drew Bledsoe, right?
Aaron Rodgers backed up Brett Favre.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
So you need, that's a lot of quarterbacks did that.
Right. That was a normal thing.
So throwing them right in the, throwing them dead in the fight. Now I kind of understand a little bit. I don't want to say I understand, but I kind of see a little bit due to the fact the quarterback is so protected this day and age. They expect him to come in and just straight execute.
Right.
But everybody knows not the Tom Brady pass either. Everybody not protected like Tom Brady either.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You know, because obviously I can't see Tom Brady getting sacked no 35 times.
No.
Under any circumstance will they allow that to happen. I don't believe that at all.
I mean, maybe in the beginning of his career, but Bill Belichick, the Patriots wasn't the pass first team with them first couple of Super Bowls that they won.
Right.
Like they was run first and we gonna play tough. Like all them years with the Patriots, and you can even count the Super Bowl year that he had with the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Brady had a top 5 defense every year.
And that's what people also got to understand in football.
Right.
Which bothers me when it comes to football. The quarterback do not play defense.
Right. Right.
So they have to do their job too.
Right.
You could be the coldest quarterback, you got the coldest offense in the world.
Right.
But if your defense is not up to par, it doesn't mean anything.
Right. So, I mean, look, this is going into everything that I was going to say about this because he hasn't had the greatest surroundings. Now, he hasn't had the elite weapons. He hasn't had elite protection. or even good protection. You can make an argument for that. He hasn't had a reliable, consistent running game to pair with, and he hasn't had a top defense to play with. So everything is like on his shoulders. So I'm not saying that that's impossible for a quarterback to still make magic with that. But in most cases, a lot of these elite quarterbacks, they have one or two of those things.
But the contract situation, so knowing all that, right? It's not Trevor Lawrence's fault.
No.
So wouldn't you want to keep him around, or would you just wait to pay him?
Right. So that was another thing I was going to say about that. I was going to say, look, Trevor Lawrence, they didn't have to get this agreed upon this offseason. What they did was they got ahead of it a little bit, because with the way the contracts is going right now and things of that nature, the price for quarterback is just going to keep getting higher and higher and higher.
Right.
So next year we're going to talk about another quarterback that's getting an extension, signing this massive deal, and we're like, dang, that's a lot of bread, and it's going to make this seem like, oh, it's not as much.
But my question for you, because that's your guy, and you know how hard it is to find a cold quarterback. It's hard to find a cold quarterback.
Jacksonville wasn't going to let him go. Jacksonville wasn't going to let him
go. Would you have paid him now if you had control? Would you have offered him contract now, or would you have gambled with it? You know what I'm saying, and just waited? Because somebody else could. If somebody else come through, I don't know what type of contract he has, but if somebody else come through and offer a higher ticket, and they be like, you know what, I got to go. Then now you have to start from ground zero again with a quarterback. You know what I'm saying?
Not exactly, because the NFL doesn't operate like the NBA. Because the NFL, so one, Trevor Lawrence still had one more year on his contract.
Okay.
And then on top of that, there's the team year 5th option that they could have picked up on his contract.
It's a team option.
Yes, team option.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so technically that's 2 years that Jacksonville could have had him tied to the hip to. Then with the NFL, you can franchise tag a player for, I think, 3 years max.
And how do you feel about franchise tag?
I hate it. I'm not a fan of that, especially when the player wants to leave. But in just the essence of business,
right,
that works in the franchise's favor.
Would you utilize a franchise tag?
It depends, because it depends on what is happening with my team at the time. Like, depending on the position, if I paid everybody else, but I can't pay you right now, but I got that plan for you in the future, I'll franchise tag you. I'll franchise tag you. I'll let you know, look, I can't really do it right now, but next offseason we can have this conversation again. I'm a franchise tag you right now.
All right. And now I'm wondering.
And it's not like players ain't getting paid good money on that franchise tag, because that franchise tag, they give you the league value of your position for 1 year. So pretty much it's like, with the quarterback contracts being the way they are now,
right?
They making like $50 million a year, the top quarterbacks.
Right.
So if Jacksonville was to let this ride and franchise tag Trevor Lawrence, he would be getting essentially a 1 year, $50 million contract.
Can be mad at that.
Exactly.
Not really. You know what I'm saying?
But for a franchise, you really don't want to do that at that position because of that number. But you might do it for a running back position, because the running back value is consistently going down.
Well, yeah, so they don't have long careers like that.
Right.
So, I mean,
and so you'll slap him with the franchise tag and be like, okay, look, we're going to keep you around. We just can't give you the long-term deal right now. Because that's what the Giants did with Saquon Barkley last year.
Right.
So, they knew how talented Saquon was, and they wanted to keep him around. They just wasn't willing to commit to paying him that big money. They gave that contract to Daniel Jones.
I don't think it's wise to really commit. Not to run it. I mean, I'm from the era of Barry Sanders, and I seen what happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, but
Well,
he
look,
lasted longer than I thought. But I mean, he was very elusive. Everybody's not like that. Running backs get hit. I mean, the line. Honestly, the line is really where the most physical part is. But running backs, they take the hardest hits
right. And
on a
so
consistent basis. So what's the average career lift for running back? Like 4 years.
at being at the top, being at the top is like 4 years, 5.
Right.
That's the average.
And
Now,
the quarterback is what? 10,
could
12?
it could be longer than that.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's wise to, and I hate to say that because I think everybody should get paid, especially in the brutal sport like football. But I would not want to invest long-term money in a running back.
Well, once
I just
again,
wouldn't do that.
this goes back to how you build your team. If you got the trenches established, then I would invest long term in a running back.
Would you?
Because it's not unusual for a running back to last 8 years. You know,
Well, they did more so back then.
even now, Derrick Henry, he's been at the top for a good while now.
Let me ask you this though: Is the running back position as prevalent it was in the 90s?
They don't want it to be.
Because the running back was very important in the 90s. I remember this clearly. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yes.
And
Obviously.
and it's like they eliminated. It's like they took. It's like the big man in basketball.
Not completely, but it's going.
They almost. Man, listen. There's only a few. Back in the days, I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Well, the difference between that and the big man in basketball is the NFL, as much of a passing league as they want to be, they know when it gets to the playoffs, for you to be a serious threat to win the Super Bowl, you need to be able to run the football.
I mean, I agree. You know what I'm saying? I agree. I definitely agree. But they talk about they want to score more. So
right. So it goes back to, okay, what is the league promoting? What are they trying to go? What are they trying to do?
Be honest. If you played a running game, it's not no high scoring game. If it was two teams that's running teams, that's a low scoring game and a boring game to watch.
For the casual fan, it could be boring.
I mean, we talking the consumer. I'm not talking about anybody like yourself who's hardcore, who actually enjoy the X's and O's of football, who know what they're looking at. I'm talking about the people who just watching it, just that don't. You know, you've been in the room with people who don't know what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? And don't know what they're looking at.
Right.
Nothing. None of it.
They just want to see big plays happen.
They just want to see big plays. They don't know nothing. It's very frustrating when you're in a room with cats like that.
Yeah.
So, just like basketball, I can watch a boring game to the people that's X's and O's, where it's a 70-point game, but I'm watching pick, pop, screens, all that good stuff. Same thing in football, the ground and pound, the running game, good blocks, everything. Oh, he consistently getting 4 yards here, 3 yards here, this, that.
Right.
That's entertaining to watch. The casual don't want to see that. You know that.
Exactly. So, you know, I mean, it just goes to what they're steering. Now, is it possible for it to still happen? Yeah, it's definitely still possible. We got the backs for it to happen. But they just got to value it. Now, is it as many as it was before? No. But we still got them. Yeah. We still got them. I mean, look, the 49ers just invested heavily in an injury-prone Christian McCaffrey. Okay?
What you feel about Christian McCaffrey? What you feel about that?
He's a good running back, but Christian
McCaffrey, he was the dude out for the Panthers, wasn't he?
Huh?
Wasn't he for the Panthers?
Yeah.
For a while? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I figured. Yeah, I thought it was him. Yep.
Yeah, he was there with Cam Newton for a little bit.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
So yeah, but the thing about Christian McCaffrey is, for a quarterback to snap the ball and hand it off to him, he's not the dopest running back in that aspect.
Right.
He's a good running back like that, but he's not the dopest running back in that aspect. Because when it comes to just quarterback height, hand the ball off, you could put guys Saquon, Nick Chubb, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry,
Aren't they in another tier than Christian McCaffrey though?
They in a different kind of tier because
you know what I'm saying?
For a lot of those guys, because look, Christian McCaffrey has value because he still gets used as a receiver, you know.
Okay.
So he's part of the passing game. Whereas Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, those guys, Nick Chubb, they're not really like looked at as he's going to be a part of the passing game. Like, you can make an argument that you can do that with Saquon, Alvin Kamara is like that. Travis Etienne is like that too. But you know, it's different breeds of running backs right now. They not just the days are kind of like being erased of running backs only being ball carriers.
Right, like, which I don't necessarily like that too much.
Well, look, I'm not as opposed to it as long as you do it still smart. Like, you need to still be able to incorporate the real receivers there. But but if you don't have the top flight edge receivers there, then it makes, I mean, because look, this kind of became a thing with Pittsburgh with Le'Veon Bell.
Right.
Le'Veon Bell was like the first running back that was used heavily as a receiver.
Le'Veon Bell colder than Christian McCaffrey, though. You don't think so?
A lot of people would agree. A lot of people would agree.
Like, I mean, Christian McCaffrey, when I look at him, like, I mean, I've always, even when I looked at him for the Panthers,
well, I mean, look,
I'm not cool, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not about to sit here and say he, like,
right. Yeah, I mean,
for the running backs I've seen, I'm like,
listen, look, if health was not an issue, Saquon Barkley is easily the best running back in the league to me.
Well, they was comparing him to Barry Sanders at one point.
Because he's shifty like that.
Is he as shifty as Barry Sanders? Or are they just saying that?
Oh, no. You can,
dog, like,
I mean, given he doesn't have the all the highlight clip, but if you just look at his rookie season, he had to make about 2 to 3 guys miss behind the line of scrimmage before he can gain any yards.
Now, wouldn't you rather have a running back like that other than Christian McCaffrey?
It depends on what my situation is. Once again, if my offensive line is built right, if my team is built right, my running back don't have to work that hard. He shouldn't have to work that hard. But if he can do that, I'd rather him do that 5 yards past the line of scrimmage than behind the line of scrimmage.
Right.
That's where I'd rather him do that.
I agree.
So regardless of who it is, what it is, my offensive line is going to be set up to where I can have whoever and I'm going to get production.
So do you think that's what Jacksonville should have did instead of paying that money right now?
Well, Jacksonville right now, they have so many things that they need to establish because we don't have an elite offensive line. We don't have.
You gotta start somewhere, though. You gotta start somewhere.
Right. And so this
is. It's like a dirty room or something. It's like, I gotta start somewhere. I have to start somewhere. So wouldn't it be
it's not that bad. It's not that bad, though. Because, okay, so this same roster, potentially to a degree, was in the playoffs last year.
Okay.
This same roster, to a degree, did come back from having one of the worst first halves ever and having one of the greatest comebacks ever in the same game against San Diego Chargers. Okay. Against one of the quarterbacks that people like to say is better than Trevor Lawrence. Fine. But he took that L.
And who's his quarterback?
Justin Herbert.
Which
is Herbert. Herbert is cold. Like, he's consistently put up the high numbers.
Do you feel like he's better than Trevor Lawrence?
Based on what he's done and what Trevor Lawrence done, people are going to say that. I don't think, as far as his individual skill set, I don't think he's better than Trevor Lawrence, but you can say that about a lot of guys when you compare history. You know, a whole lot of guys have more of a package. They just haven't either put it together or they haven't had the ability to showcase it.
Okay.
So with Trevor Lawrence, like, I'm still waiting and seeing on Trevor Lawrence as far as that. Because I do believe that he could potentially be a top franchise quarterback in this league. I just don't think he's had the opportunity to show it.
Well, he's about to have how many years that contract is?
It extends all the way to 2030.
2030. So what, about 6 years?
It's a 5-year extension on top of his rookie deal.
Well, he got another 5 years to show then.
Right. Which is,
so I mean, at least y'all got y'all franchise quarterback. At least y'all have that in place.
Potentially.
Oh,
because
so you sound like you're still questioning this. Like,
look, like I said, given that he hasn't had all the things that other quarterbacks have had, he also has had moments where it was like, yo, dude, what are you doing?
Don't everybody know?
Yes, but the elite quarterbacks, they have very minimal moments of those.
Right, but if you're getting blitzed at a lot, dog, I mean, it's going to happen.
It didn't stop Joe Burrow from getting to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, how long Joe Burrow been in the league?
This is his, like, 5th year.
5th year?
Yeah.
All right, well, there's that. All right, well.
No, but given, once again, Joe Burrow had Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, so he had elite weapons. Trevor Lawrence has yet to have had that yet. So the best thing that happened to Trevor Lawrence is when they fired Urban Meyer and they brought in Doug Peterson. Because Doug Peterson, he was able to get to the Super Bowl with Nick Foles. When Carson Wentz went down, he was able to get to the Super Bowl with Nick Foles. He played the quarterback position. He coached Brett Favre. So he knows the quarterback position. So he's really beneficial for Trevor Lawrence. There's other things about that we can get into, but this is not a segment about the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is about Trevor Lawrence.
Okay, so one more question about Trevor Lawrence. I have a question. Because I'm a Lions fan, and I haven't got over that loss. And I will never get over that loss. Ever. You know what I'm saying? I just won't. So, do you think if you put Trevor Lawrence, if you swap Jared Goff, Trevor Lawrence in the Lions uniform, do they go to the Super Bowl?
You're capable of doing more.
Off top?
You're capable of doing more.
You're not a big golf guy.
No. I mean, look. No. This.
Because I remember when we got that, you like, golf is a game. You told me you're a game manager.
Yes, he's a game manager. He's the guy he's not going to mess it up for you. But he's not going to go out there and win it for you either.
Didn't he
now,
go to the
this
Super
year,
Bowl? Golf went to the Super Bowl, though.
Right, but you got to remember, how was that team constructed? They was a run-first team with Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
With Todd Gurley. And that was a younger version of Aaron Donald.
Right.
So they pretty much got there on those guys. Now, not that Jared Goff didn't contribute. He just didn't mess nothing up. It was kind of like Mark Sanchez on the Jets.
Right.
He's not going to go out there and win you the game. He's just not going to mess it up.
Right.
Now, this past year, Jared Goff, he did tap into some of that, okay, I can do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, but
he was doing some things.
Right. But the reason why I said that you're automatically capable of doing more with Trevor Lawrence is Trevor Lawrence got a stronger arm and he's mobile. He can be mobile. Right. Anybody that questions Trevor Lawrence's mobile ability, just pull up his one highlight scramble against Ohio State in the playoff a couple years ago. Dude ran for 70 yards. He ran for 70 yards. So he's capable of being more of a threat with his legs, which is another thing that I wish Jacksonville would do for him. Because when you don't have a good offensive line, you need to move that quarterback around so he can get.
Wouldn't he be in more danger like Cam Newton? Is he able to absorb them type of hits?
No. See, you got to know when to slide, or you got to know when to get out of bounds.
That was RG3's problem.
or you got to know when it's not there. You got to know when it's not there and just throw the ball away.
Because even when you're scrambling, you putting yourself in a bad spot as a quarterback. The bad spot. You know what I'm saying? Whether you slide or not. You know what I mean?
But
like, you know.
But look at Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is like a master at that. Lamar Jackson, he knows when to get out of bounds. He knows when to fall down. Like, have you ever seen Lamar Jackson take a hard hit?
No, I see him slide a lot.
Exactly.
He slides quickly, ASAP, or go out of bounds.
So that's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. You don't need to try to be all man Johnson, trying to take all the hits right now. That's what Josh Allen is doing. Josh Allen be trying to take people on.
He be getting popped, dog.
And
I don't know how long his career gonna last doing that.
And given he's a big dude,
it don't matter. Cam Newton was huge,
right? But what I'm saying is he might be able to get away with it longer than the average quarterback, just because he's a bigger dude. It doesn't mean he's gonna have a long elite career, but we'll see what's okay. So everybody that's on this Josh Allen stuff, we'll see what kind of quarterback Josh Allen is going to be this year, because we see what he was like before Stephon Diggs. We seen what he was like with Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis and everything, right? Well, now we get to see him with nobody proven. Like, he has James Cook, which is I'm a fan of James Cook at running back, and they drafted Keon Coleman. I'm a fan of Keon Coleman. That's a rookie,
right?
So they're gonna put him there to be the number one receiver. So we gonna see what they're gonna be like. This is gonna be kind of what Trevor Lawrence is dealing with. Nobody proven to a degree.
So do you think you think y'all making the playoffs?
I don't know. We got a chance at it. We got a chance because right now we just got to focus on winning our division first and foremost. And right now the top team in the division right now is Houston. Houston with CJ Stroud, and then they just got Stephon Diggs over there in the trade. So CJ Stroud got a number one proven receiver who's not a 6-foot guy. He's like 5'11", I think.
I don't like that, but I understand. I get it though. I just really.
Hey, but it has happened, bro. It has happened. Okay, like look at Steve Smith Sr.
Steve Smith Cole. I seen the video of him still able to run routes. He was cooking somebody.
Yeah. You know Steve Smith.
How tall was Steve Smith?
I think he's not a tall receiver. He's not 5'10", I think. Yeah, I have to look it up. I have to look it up. But Steve Smith, he ain't no little receiver neither.
No, he's a stocky guy. I'm just saying, man, like, you do understand my issues with short receivers, right?
I do understand. But special is special. And so it doesn't matter what size you is. If you special and you can do it, then we can make that work.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I just, the way I look, the first thing, I'll say this, if I own the team and I'm scouting or got the guy scouting, it's going to have to take somebody to convince me, like, yo, this short guy right here, he could really, somebody had to bring it to my table. I'm not going to lie to you.
Well, look, it's kind of like what some NFL scouts say when it comes to very like undersized players, or even with players that come from very small schools.
Mm-hmm.
They always say, okay, well, he has to walk on water in order for me to draft him. Pretty much saying like this dude need to be very special for me to be like, oh, we drafting him.
Yeah,
because that's what Khalil Mack was.
Yeah,
he came out of Buffalo. That's the college Buffalo, because he's from Fort Myers, Florida.
Buffalo. Well, they D1?
They a very small school. Very small school. He came out of Buffalo. And you know what helped him get drafted? The game that they had against Ohio State. They couldn't block him. So there you go.
That's what I'm saying. Somebody got to really because it'd be hard for me to look in the direction of any receiver. I might be able to deal with 5'11", maybe. You know what I'm saying? But
look at Santana Moss. Look at Santana Moss. Go look at Lavernius Coles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those are all short guys that was killing at this position.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Go look at I believe Doug Baldwin was a short guy.
Mm-hmm.
He was a small guy. I mean, they out there.
Yeah.
They out there. I'm trying to think of other ones right now.
Someone as bad as a short quarterback. I don't like short quarterbacks like that.
Yeah, but then you got Drew Brees. You got Russell
Yeah,
Wilson.
I mean Drew Brees. You got Russell
Wilson. You got who's the short quarterbacks out there? Baker Mayfield is a short quarterback, and look at what he did with Tampa this past year.
Well, I always felt like Baker Mayfield was decent. I never thought he was bad. It's just,
Me neither.
But
you know, when the narrative gets thrown out about somebody in this social media, they like to take it and run with it.
Yeah, so I never felt like Baker Mayfield was bad. I always felt like Baker Mayfield was solid, in my opinion. So
right. I think Doug Flutie was a short quarterback.
Well, yeah, I looked that up. But I mean, you name him, we talking a handful. Almost.
Right. Well,
I mean,
but that's what I'm saying. They got to be like, special is special. Special don't have no size requirement on it. Special is just like, oh, for a quarterback, can you sling that thing? Oh, okay, you can sling it. Kyler Murray, one right now. He's special. He just had a bad year. He just had a bad year. But like this dude, he's a.
Well, you know how quick they used to change on you, though.
Right.
So I never felt like Kyler Murray was bad either. I'm like, why is everybody? Because when he getting compared to Patrick Mahomes at one point.
I don't know. I never heard that, but you know, I never personally heard a Patrick Mahomes comparison, but you know, but yeah, Kyler Murray, he's a headache. He's a headache just because of his ability to.
These folks act like they can't go through a drought because it's a thing with Tom Brady. Didn't he go for like 10 years without winning the Super Bowl? Or some crazy number like that? It was a long time, dog.
I don't know the exact number, but
it was a long stretch, man.
It was a little bit, but you know what? I mean, like people gonna always look at Tom Brady and they gonna say that he's the greatest just because of how many rings he got, but they don't care to look at the context of the rings.
I mean, listen, I get it. I'm not, and Tom Brady's a Michigan guy, and I'm not no Wolverine. I can't stand him anyway. So it really doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, it's like,
what's wrong with blue?
I don't like the Wolverines, man. I can't stand. I never liked the Wolverines. I always thought they was. It's like because
down with Kirk Cousins.
I mean, you know, Kirk Cousins. No,
he a Sparty.
Really. So. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, I'm objective too, though. Now, you know what I'm saying? But my thing is, Michigan Wolverines. They was always stuck up to me, those Michigan Wolverines people. They real snooty in the air type of guy. Well, I can't stand Michigan Wolverines, but I don't not dislike them worse than I hate Ohio State though.
Right, but I hear what you're saying because we up here in Michigan, and I spend a lot of time on Michigan campus.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is like a status-y thing that comes with it.
It's real snooty. Like man, get out of here. And they look at Michigan State like.
And for anybody that actually like goes to Michigan campus and walks around and sees who's there, it's not too many people of color out there. You know, it's like, you know, it's mainly white folks, Asians.
Yeah, white folks and Asians.
White folks and Asians is the main two that make up Michigan campus, and then then I'm starting to see Indian come out more. Indians.
Well, yeah, they all about those. You see a lot of Indian doctors and stuff, so that's what I mean. Like, but
yeah, like, African Americans is a very small percentage over there.
But if you go to because I deliver in Lansing sometimes.
I've never been to Michigan State campus, so I can't say what it's like. But I can tell you what Eastern Michigan campus is like.
Yeah, Eastern Michigan.
Eastern is kind of like a college for the hood, bro.
Michigan State is like an advanced version of Eastern as far as the campus goes. You know what I'm saying? But because I delivered there, but it's like I've never, even in middle school, I just no. Right. So if the people develop my disdain for University of Michigan. Plus, I wanted to play basketball at state. So
got you. Okay, got you.
But
But anyway, so Trevor Lawrence, I do understand that they needed to re-sign him. They didn't need to do it this year, but they wanted to get ahead of the price tag going up. That's what I think this is. They wanted to get ahead of the price tag coming up, and they wanted to have some stability at that position, I believe, because that's been a unstable position for Jacksonville for so long. We've ran through so many. Okay, so David Garrard was the last stability for quarterback that we had. We went from David Garrard, huh?
How cold was he?
David Garrard was good. I mean, he was okay. He wasn't elite like at throwing the ball. His best year came when he had he really took care of the ball well.
Right.
He only had 3 interceptions for the whole season. And he was starting and he threw, I think it was 18 touchdowns. We were still a run first team that year because we had Fred Taylor and Maurice Jones-Drew over there at the time.
Right.
But all his receivers at that time also was like 6'5". Like that was but they wasn't out cold wide receivers. They was just big targets.
Big targets.
That's all they was big targets.
Oh, your hands, I know what I'm saying. That's all you gotta do. Like, I mean,
but had they would have been cold, they would have longer careers. They still would have probably been playing today. But
right.
But yeah. So I mean, yeah, that was that. That was pretty much the transition. That was pretty much Fred Taylor passing the torch to Maurice Jones-Drew. That was pretty much what was going on there.
Right.
Speaking of, Fred Taylor needs to be in the Hall of Fame. I could care less what anybody say. Argue with your mama. All right. But anyway, but yeah, it was nice to get some stability at the quarterback position because after David Garrard, we went through Blaine Gabbert. We had Byron. Okay, so we had David Garrard was already on the team. We drafted Byron Leftwich. That was Jack Del Rio's move. So David Garrard was supposed to start, but then when we draft Byron Leftwich first round, he gets started.
Right.
David Garrard has to wait some more. Then David Garrard becomes the starter because he was like the best backup quarterback in the league for a while, and then Jacksonville finally moved on from Byron Leftwich and got David Garrard. After David Garrard, they draft Blaine Gabbert. Blaine Gabbert doesn't work out. We started J.P. Lossman.
I thought you liked him.
Blaine Gabbert?
Yeah.
No, I ain't like Blaine Gabbert. I just wanted him to do good just because he was wearing a Jacksonville jersey. You know? And then we had Chad Henne for a minute.
Yeah.
Then we drafted Blake Bortles. Everybody knows how that went. Then we had Gardner Minshew. You know? We paid Nick Foles all that money. We had Nick Foles we really only had Nick Foles for like 2 seasons. Because we signed Nick Foles to a big contract after he won the Super Bowl with Philly.
Right.
And he lasted 1 throw with Jacksonville. Because as he was throwing, he was getting hit. The throw turned out to be a touchdown.
Sound like Aaron Rodgers almost.
But that one hit turned into Gardner Minshew getting the job and Gardner Minshew doing solid, you know? So we've had a cycle of quarterbacks.
Right.
Where you look at some of these other teams, their quarterback position has been established.
Well, it seems like football 101 that had that quarterback position established. Mm-hmm. But for me, I almost feel like there's nothing wrong with having your O-line established first. As long as you got a decent offensive system. You know what I'm saying? To give that quarterback some time to actually make. Because at the end of the day, everybody that's in the NFL can throw the ball. I mean, that's quarterback starting. They can throw the ball. You know what I'm saying? Now, you got some that's on different levels, and it is what it is. But they're in the NFL for a reason. You know what I'm saying? They can make throws. Now, if you got a dope offensive system, you know what I'm saying? Then I think if you have an offensive line, then
yeah.
So for me, personally, I will be, due to watching the Lions grow up and the stuff I've seen, I think that if you build that offensive line first, everything else you can start plugging stuff in.
Right.
After that. You know what I'm saying?
Because building the offensive line is the fastest way to keep your success consistent.
Exactly.
Whereas when you don't build your offensive line, you can have a successful season, but it will probably only last 1 year. Jacksonville was an example. Mm-hmm. We had a successful season with Blake Bortles, but our offensive line wasn't developed. And then look, we went from being Jacksonville AFC Championship to not even making the playoffs next year.
Listen, I get it, because I looked at the line when I used to watch. When I a Lions fan, heavy. We had decent defense. Robert Porcher and all them. We had Brett Perriman, Herman Moore, Johnny Morton.
How you felt about Herman Moore?
Huh? You don't like?
I was going to ask you about how you felt about Herman Moore.
Herman Moore, he was cold. I think he's underrated.
And he was a big dude.
Herman Moore is underrated, dog.
He was a big dude.
Herman Moore, I seen the interviews talking to himself. He could play with any of these dudes. You know what I'm saying? But he played for the Lions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if we had an offensive line, this offensive line, Barry Sanders would have had a better career. Herman Moore, like we had almost, you could say, almost an elite offense. We just didn't have the offensive line to protect it.
Even the year when y'all had all the weapons in the world, but y'all didn't have an offensive line. Because
that offensive line dictates everything.
Yeah, when y'all had, like, there was 1 year where I really thought Detroit was gonna make it to the Super Bowl. When they had Matthew Stafford with Calvin Johnson and Reggie Bush, and they had Nate Burleson over there too, and he didn't have a good career, and he didn't really do too much for the Lions, but I think his name was Pettigrew at tight end.
Yep.
And then y'all had Ndamukong Suh.
Yep, Sue. He was wilding too, stepping on folks.
Right, yeah.
But
and then y'all had what's my man, the safety in the backfield, Diggs.
Yeah. Didn't he go to he went to Philly, didn't he?
Or I don't know where he at right now.
Somebody else. Never mind.
But anyway, that was the year that I thought Detroit was gonna go to the Super Bowl.
Like
the offensive line wasn't elite, but it was straight. That year, I think it was the playoff game where Calvin Johnson had 3 critical drops that just doesn't leave my mind. But anyway.
Yeah, whatever.
But yeah, that's Trevor Lawrence. That's Trevor Lawrence. We can talk more about it later on about like overpaying for one position and how that affects the roster. But
this season around the corner, so we really about to get into that, because we can look at some of these quarterbacks and whatever the case and be like, man, you getting paid what?
Right.
Do what?
Right.
Yeah, I'm my eyes is peeled. I'm be watching.
Right. So yeah, but that's Trevor Lawrence.
Can I rap real quick? Can I rap? On the path to being the best power in the airwaves, jingling the way we break it down the game. Wide body on the highway, we not in one lane, no nonsense. Logic with every topic. The talk too real, the party we not invited. Want the truth? F&S subscribe to it. The death shows, who's playing ride to it. The voice is more important than the image. Feel every word spoken, no need for camera tricks. We on the grind, freeze corner with Jay sideline. DBP next in line. You gotta feel he did know when you're fired. We in it for the long haul, the fatigue's off, we don't get tired. Nah, we don't get tired.